Beloved heart, I invite you to sign up to my mailing list, and as a result of signing up, you will get a free gift. It's a 5D rebalance tune up of all these chakras, and chakras are my specialty. So I would love to gift you with this transmission that is filled with light language and codes to help you stay balanced and tuned up during these increased frequencies of energy of this ascension, this new earth frequency. So check out the links in the notes of this show, and I look forward to connecting with you. I am sending you love. This is the transfiguration of the new you. Hello, beloved. Welcome to another episode. I am your host for the Ascended Earth, the Transfiguration of the New Human podcast. So, welcome again to this special episode that I want to talk about your sacred temple, each and every one of our sacred temple. So, temple for me is a place that serves as a very special purpose that is dedicated to specific energies and that is very sacred. And our physical body is very much like a temple. It is a sacred temple that houses our soul, and our soul, which is universal and is very multidimensional. And so it is in connection directly to source and all that is. Temples have always existed since ancient times through the many ancient civilizations like Lemuria, Atlantis, and in other ancient civilizations like in India. And it has, also been known to have many temples throughout the galaxy of these other planets from our star family, which we all carry, seeds of the star family within our own DNA. And so they are all around. And from my own remembrance and experience of my reawakened, resurrected high priestess within myself of the Lemurian aspect that I am, I remember all the temples that were where I served in different capacities. And some of these were in the water, in the sky, on the land, and even in different dimensional spaces. And in many of the vortex and etheric cities above sacred sites, there also exist other temples as well. Temples that are not necessarily seen through your naked eye, but are seen through your third eye. And so these are temples that still exist everywhere. And we see in a lot of other ancient civilizations like ancient Egypt, where some of those remnants of temples still exist. And those temples still hold a lot of energy in them. And pyramids, in some way, are somewhat of a temple as well. And so, my experience in having visited many of these temples, like in Egypt, the remnants of these temples still contain a lot of energy. And I remember seeing many different orbs in some of them. And they always felt very alive to me every time I would visit them. And so they do hold the energy of, whatever the sacredness that went on in there, the certain ceremonies and rituals that occurred. And in many of my instances, I would take a lot of my clients and students to many different temples in the different galactic systems and different planets through our own astral body and even through remote viewing. And so in my own remote viewing, I do see some of these temples and very, highly decorated, made of crystal and luminous, very luminous type temples. And even in within the earth itself, like in advanced civilizations that still exist now, like Tellus, underneath, certain underneath the mountain, especially Mount Shasta, they do have temples and pyramids still, built there. And so a lot of these temples do ritualistically and ceremonially are, meant to help the energies on, in the universe, most of all, but when they are also here on the earth, they help with the grid system and the ley lines. And of course, the universe also has ley lines and grid system as well. So everything is all interconnected within the universe. And so these energies, serve for a great purpose. And so as such, our body, our human body, also has grid systems and ley lines, and our sacred sites, our vortex energy centers are our chakra points, just like the earth. And so we can consider our body to be a temple as well, a sacred temple that houses our soul, which is that divine expression of ourselves and our divine expression of all that is, of the universe within us. And so serving as a channeling point as well, because these temples were also meant for channeling and housing that divinity as well, of very specific energies. And so in most instances, the temples within the earth were associated to the cardinal directions of like north, south, east, and west. And a lot of the indigenous tribes still use these cardinal directions as well for a lot of their ceremonies and rituals that they typically do like outdoors, but they kind of create like their own temple in a way, but it is more like not in a different way that is more open type temple. I remember in one of my hypnosis, actually regression experiences that I had, where I went back to Lemuria. And in that experience, I remember going in a temple and actually working in the temple. And in that temple, I was it was known as a temple for the timelines. And so what I would do in service was to keep those timelines in balance. And so I remember that I could work through the timelines to help heal certain timelines that I had gone through in this lifetime. And, all the previous lifetimes as well in the different human forms. And also just realign myself to the timeline that I wanted to be on, which is, the highest vibrational timeline to really shift the law of attraction and manifestation through these timelines. And so that's what that temple was dedicated for. And in there as well, I also helped to bring, the collective energy timelines for all of us too. And so that's, an example of what a temple could be. It could be like many different types of functions to it. And so when we have, so many coming together in a temple, bringing energy, it really shifts that energy as well. So we also have, within ourselves that our temple, which is our physical body housing our soul, can also work with those timelines within ourselves and have multifunction, like multidimensional selves and other aspects of ourself, and really integrating and aligning ourselves with all those aspects within ourselves too. And so a lot of those aspects are like our higher self, right? And also including our I am presence and our emotional body, our mental body, and our auric field, our light body. There are so many, right, to integrate, as well as our Atman, and the Atman, which is known as the universal self, or the individual soul that resides within the universal self. So that is, a higher aspect of our own divinity, and in some ways, and also our divine will that we integrate as one within ourselves and harmonize and balance ourselves in that way. And that's how we build on our own sacred temple, is the unity of all those, and really doing our own ceremonial, ritualistic aspects to make ourselves sacred in that way, harmonized and balanced. So if we look at the cardinal directions, right, for ourselves, we could say that the east is the head, the upper chakras. And I would say it includes the throat chakra and above, and the chakras above, right, like the third eye, the crown chakra, as well as like all the other chakra points that are associated to the major chakras. And the west, and the east, which symbolizes illumination and enlightenment. And it is where the sun rises, where there is a lot of energy also that is coming in from the east. So if you hear like a lot of spiritual teachers talk about how when the sun is first rising in the morning, that is the best time to go do like breath work or to do some yoga pose, because that is when you're able to receive your highest and most light, and as well as like pretty much like eating eating the light, so it's making you really full, so it's supercharging you the most at that time. This is a very specific time when the sun is rising. And I've even had like heard from other spiritual gurus and who have like very specific mantras they use during that time. And that's what a lot of the immortals have used to keep themselves immortal and also regenerative. So the East itself, when the sun is rising at that first instance of that powerful light, it is something very powerful for us to receive, to feed on. So that's why, I feel like the East is associated to our upper chakras, which is in connection to that powerful energy, which is, what we consider to be channeling. So it's receiving a lot of download of information and enlightenment and illumination in that moment. The West, I consider to be associated to the lower chakras. And I feel like it's more like the solar plexus, as well as the sacral and the root, the earth star. And the West is where the sun sets. So it could be considered as the point of rest and a point of the void. So more so like a reset, as well as grounding. So really what the lower chakras do in their function is that connection with our earth and being in connection with rest, and being able to reset ourselves when needed as well, through these very important points, these chakras within ourselves, to really root us on the earth itself, and carrying these higher energies from the upper chakras as well. So the so that's where I associated this to the West, being the lower chakras, which includes the all the chakra points, not just the major. So the East, you see the South. So we have now the East and the West. The South side would be considered the right side of your body. So really your right arm, your hand, most of all, your palm, because there are some very powerful chakra points in your hand as well. the left side is the north side, representing the north side. So the other, palm area, the arm as well on that side, and those chakra points themselves. So the left hand is considered to be the one accepting, whereas the right hand is the one that's giving. So there's a receiving and giving type of energy that goes on with these two sides. The south side is where the sun is usually the highest point and brightest, and the north part is the north side is when the sun is not as strong. So, like in the winter time, the sun is not usually as strong. Um, so, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It's just a symbolism, representation that I'm associating it to our body. And so, as we're receiving on the one end, like it's in the winter side, right? We're more in this form of just rest in a way, so we're also just receiving. And when it comes to like the south, it is giving. So it is this balance of the two. So the center for all of this, because all temples have a center point, a sanctum, a sanctuary, and so that is the heart. The heart of your temple is your own heart center, which is, includes the lower heart chakra and the upper heart chakra. And so when these two are together, though it is a very activating energy, an energy that keeps your whole temple in balance and sacred. And so within this heart center, we have all directions coming. It also contains all the major ley lines in the grid system within your own body as well, because each of the chakra points also have their own ley lines as well in grid systems. And so I feel like the heart center being your most sanctuary point also integrates a lot of these other different forms of your other bodies, like your mental body, your emotional body, your light body, your Atman, and your divine will, your I am presence, your, higher self, in all aspects of yourself, as well as your art field. And that is, also your physical body too. So that is, just something for us to just be aware as we are, taking care of our bodies, because it is of utmost important, especially during this ascension, to be really taking care of your body in every way, and to keep it at its highest health in food and drinks, and even like information that we're eating, and what we're feeding our body through all those forms, as well as getting plenty of rest and just keeping it well balanced to help us navigate through these intense energies, especially with the eclipse season that we're in right now, of really high intensity. And not only the astrological events like the eclipse, but also the major solar flares that we've been having. When the last one, the lunar eclipse that we just had during the full moon, end of March, included several, I believe a couple of X-class solar flares, and also a CME, which was like this major like coronal like mass energy of energy that came from the sun, which was more intense, than the X class. And so in a way, I feel like there was some kind of crown activation as well with that. And so our bodies are really receiving a lot of this electromagnetic radiation from the sun, and also from the earth. The earth is receiving, and that's why a lot of her like heartbeat resonance has also been spiking really high. And we also have that Schumann resonance within ourselves. So we will be feeling all forms of energy mixture. And so our balance and harmony is so important for that reason. And I'll just share, a quick technique to help integrate yourself if you ever feel yourself out of balance, like maybe feeling too emotional or feeling too mental, but just integrating all those components of yourself. And it's just a very simple technique of just saying it and just putting the intention there and just feeling it within yourself. And that is, I now integrate my emotional body, my mental body, my physical body, my I am presence, my Atman, my higher self, my divine will, my auric field, and all aspects of myself. And we are one, we are harmonized, and I am balanced. And you can do that as often as you like. It's a very simple technique to try as you integrate yourself and if you're feeling a bit split from all these energies going on right now. You're not alone, but just do the best you can to get through it and treat your body with the highest and utmost sacredness, because you are sacred and holy in every way. And now that, we're in this like holy season as well of the holidays, it was so appropriate to share this message of your sacred temple, the sacred temple of who you are, because you house the divinity within yourself. And there is that phrase, from India that many say, and it's namaste, which is I bow to the divinity within you. So I will leave you with that. Namaste. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to click like, save, and share with others so they can also experience what you just experienced. And stay tuned for some more high vibe episodes. And I'll be connecting with you in the next quantum field. Sending you so much love.